Y'all ever wonder how elite athletes recover from their strenuous training regimens? I know I have. That's the topic of this here video, man. How elite athletes actually recover. Let's get right into this, John, man.
Compression boots, cryo chambers, biometric tags. Modern technology appears to have unlocked a new realm of recovery possibilities. Nowhere shows it off better than the new American football facilities, like Texas Tech, a $240 million project with hyperbaric chambers, red light therapy, and sensory deprivation tanks.
Let's get back to it.
And sensory deprivation tanks, presented as a secret to elite recovery.
A 30-minute session probably equates to about 2 hours of true restful sleep.
I spend $1 million on his body a year just to be great.
$1 million on his body?
There's recovery shoes now, recovery pajamas. Ronaldo swears the boots for how he recovers after games. Yet, none of it looks that crazy anymore. Our feeds are full of people doing cold plunges, wearing expensive orange glasses, and waking up at 3 a.m. to partake in all sorts of strange activities.
Gotta optimize, man. Nah, Tom Brady wildin' for that, bro. Good nut. Come on, Tom, not drinking that, bro.
I don't really want to chug Tom Brady's good nut and be taken for a mug. I want to know what we can actually steal from these people. So I went to the top experts I could find. Christy Ashwanden, former pro skier turned scientific journalist, and the author of Good to Go, the best book I could find on the recovery industry. Nick Littlehales, the sleep coach behind some of the biggest teams in world sport. And Dr. Mark Bubbs, performance nutritionist and author of Peak. I want to know what actually matters.
Bro, there's a lot that goes into, like, keeping athletes in tip-top shape, bro. There's a lot of resources that go into that junk, bro. And I think that's so insane. I remember I took a sports medicine class in high school. Bro. A whole lot of junk goes into freaking keeping athletes, in great shape.
My goal is to run the fastest possible half marathon with a blood test after to see if it actually helps. Now, some of what they do we can't copy, like genetics, and yeah, sometimes doping. So I focused on what's actually legally stealable. To make sense of what's worth it, I found one tool, the pyramid, built by Latchel and Penfold, to help us understand how athletes actually recover.
Get it.
Why are you bathing in red wine?
Well, red wine bath is, I feel is great for recovery.
Venotherapy, as the spas call it, is one of the dozens of things that count as a recovery modality. The tools, treatments, and gadgets, all promising to speed up how your body bounces back after training. Most top teams offer some version of these. There's the ice bath, which takes the edge off of soreness. Cryotherapy, which is the same idea, just standing in a chamber of freezing air. Compression boots, which squeeze your legs in waves. Red light therapy, which shines a particular light into your muscles. Hyperbaric chambers, where you sit breathing oxygen at high pressure. Saunas, sitting in the heat after training. And sensory deprivation, floating in a warm pitch-dark salt tank. So, which are actually worth doing? A team of French researchers.
They pulling a Stranger Things with that freaking, that floating bath thingy, bro. That's out of Stranger Things. I would never do that because I don't know how to float.
Pulled 99 studies to rank every major recovery method against doing nothing, measuring soreness and fatigue, not performance. Stretching measured indistinguishable from doing nothing, which is awkward because it's the thing that most people do, specifically to recover. Hyperbaric chambers and electrical stimulation was the same story, no meaningful effect. Contrast water therapy came 6th, cold water immersion 5th, cryotherapy 4th, just barely ahead of it, compression 3rd, active recovery, so a light walk or easy swim, came 2nd, and first, the massage, and not by a little. Yet, the less proven recovery tool market is booming. Nike recently released mind-altering recovery shoes designed to help you relax, which reminds me of Tom Brady's infamous recovery.
I've seen some of these. I low-key want some, and I hate whatever freaking style, like foam shoes and whatever. but I kind of like these.
recovery shoes designed to help you relax, which reminds me of Tom Brady's infamous recovery pajamas.
Without the sleepwear, I don't really feel like I would be able to achieve the things that I have done.
Of course, scientists called these out for being pseudoscientific, similarly with Phelps and his cupping, which are these heated cups that suck the skin up and are meant to boost your blood flow. Yet, after he won, it seems like half of the fitness world is copied him. A big part of recovery is mental, but a bigger part of the recovery industry are companies trying to make a profit. And this
Straight placebos, man. You're being sold placebos.
is where we have to be careful, because there's a lot of methods that are backed by much more hype and marketing.
You know, a lot of those companies are probably gifting it to them because they want to be able to say, you know, this football team uses it. You know, this professional sports team is sponsored by us.
That's not to say that using tools without much scientific merit is necessarily a bad thing if you have the budget.
Talked to this guy who works with a bunch of NBA basketball teams, and he sort of likes to give his players an array of different recovery methods that they can choose from. So they pick the thing that they like, and they're all basically placebos. But what happens is the thing that you believe in is going to be the most powerful helper.
For the athlete, the mindset part is really big, right? Because that belief of like, this thing's going to help me, or that stress to my immune system is going to help my immune system. That is part of the picture because they're dealing with really, really small margins.
So, if the placebo effect is real, why do elite athletes not just stack every possible placebo for maximum advantage?
If you take multiple things that have tiny effects, so-called marginal gains, they don't add. Like there seems to be sort of a limit, so you can maybe get like X percent. It might be, I don't have an exact number to give you, but let's say 5% increase in performance from this thing. But you're going to get that 5% from any of those placebos. You can't add them together and get 20%.
This is why we want to be more intentional with our selection.
Some particular thing that you have to do on top of your workout, it may actually be detracting from your recovery. You could be spending...
So you can't just like placebo max, bro. That's crazy. I'd also imagine that like not all placebos, you know, work for your brain, bro. Sometimes your brain just don't take to them.
That time, you know, sitting on your couch with your feet up, and that would be much better recovery than all of that running around to get that other modality.
Despite what companies would like you to believe, random modalities are the least important part of recovery. Once it becomes more specific, it falls under the treatment category. A treatment is what you do to solve a specific problem at a specific time for a specific reason. It could be an ice bath used to take the edge off a soreness before a second session on the same day, or a massage on a calf that's flaring up. In that case, is a treatment. For me, I use a massage gun, foam roller, and sauna if I have time, but these are far from essential. When Jeff Nippard ranked recovery modalities, none of them...
Bro, them freaking cold plunges look like torture. I freaking hate being cold. I have no clue how anyone does a freaking cold plunge, bro. If my shower water runs too cold, man, I be ready to jump out my skin, bro. That jump be cold in a mud, bro. I cannot do that, bro. I don't know how y'all do that. Big ups to y'all. I'm never doing that.
made it above a B tier because there's much more important factors in recovery.
I discovered Whoop a few years ago, and to be honest, it's like to have a doctor in your wrist.
Tracking recovery is now an enormous business.
Bro, I'm finna get me a Whoop, bro. I thought about getting a Whoop.
With elite athletes serving as the poster figures. And the tech is genuinely clever. The NBA used wearables to spot players getting ill before they even had symptoms. But we have to be careful. As I found, they're often inaccurate for the more intricate measures and recommendations.
Most of these wearables, I think they do probably a pretty decent job of measuring, how many hours you're sleeping. But anything that's trying to tell you that it can tell you if you're in REM sleep or not, based on a wrist thing, is garbage.
So the watch could just decide I was
I can imagine that being the case.
tired, and then I was, because it bullied me into feeling it. That's the placebo effect. The placebo effect's evil twin. Tell an athlete their recovery is worse, and they can start performing like it is. The trouble with a number is it can't see the day around it. Go for a run, and your watch tells you to rest tomorrow.
You are a failure. You are a failure. You can never make it.
It doesn't know you train legs that morning, or no breakfast in a heat wave. So the number was right, but the story it is telling was wrong. That's the McNamara fallacy, where you trust everything you can measure and ignore everything you can't, like how you actually feel.
And sometimes more measurements is actually counter.
Yeah, man. Personally, bro, I do a lot of just like, how do I feel about something, bro? How is my body feeling after, walking, jumping, whatever the freak I'm doing? How does my body feel after, bro? If I'm sore, bro, I'm probably gonna rest that next day, or keep it extra light if I'm like feeling sore. Um, you feel me? Things like that, because I'm I can't afford a watch, man. I
Productive.
can't afford
This
it.
is why elite athletes often have experts sitting between them and the data to give them the context.
In data collection, because if you can't measure it in sport, you don't do it, sort of thing. You want to be conscious of the kind of data that's being collected.
With AI and wearables, we've got elite athletes' data, but none of the buffer.
There's already a medical term called orthosomnia for the increased anxiety and stress that's created by, oh dear, my sleep went down, my sleep quality went down, my deep sleep went down.
Worrying about recovery can be the very thing making your recovery worse, none of which makes the kit useless. I tested my Garmin in a lab, and it had my VO2 max at 60. The lab said 61.3. The hardware's brilliant, but my problem was me trying to outsource my critical thinking.
So in terms of an athlete's diet, it's very prescriptive in the back end. Total energy, macronutrients, micronutrition, right? Testing omega-3 status, vitamin D, et cetera, But for the athlete, and this will change depending on the level. I mean, we talk professional athletes, and my bias is always we want the execution, the task we give them to be quite simple.
Athletes pay much more attention to the data you can't see, like your mood. And all of this tracking is to serve a much more important goal, helping athletes get bigger, leaner, and stronger for their sport. When I was out of shape, I wasn't doing all of that. I was more focused on my weight and nutrition, so I could drop fat and gain muscle without going insane. I use Macrofactor to do this, who have kindly sponsored this video. Much like how I track my
Bread, dude.
and track day, or if I'm really hungry after training legs, approach like that worth it. I found it lets me long before multiple per week, with a link below the video.
Training plan.
It's common to see footballers come back from summer looking significantly more muscular, lifting weights straight after a game, a manager benching his best player when seemingly nothing's wrong with them. I used to assume this was all just secretive stuff, and it comes back to the one thing nobody's selling you, because you can't put it in a bottle. They plan the year, it's periodized, carved into phases, each with a specific goal. The off-season is often a block for bulking up. In season, the focus is more on performance, where they're holding on to what they've built.
The stimulus to maintain muscle is largely coming from what's happening in the gym, right? And that's why you see team sport athletes at the end of an NBA game or an NHL game or an EPL game, they go in the gym and they lift.
As for the benching, every so often, the amount of training and competing they do is cut down, a deload. In the NBA, resting players became so common, they had to introduce a policy to stop fans turning up to games only to see the best players benched. After all, you don't get fitter when you train, you get fitter when you recover from it. A hard training session is really controlled stress. The athlete's body responds.
They working on little feet, bruh. Take care of my goat, cuz.
A hard training session is really controlled stress. The athlete's body responds by rebuilding a little past where it was, so they can better handle that stress the next time. That overshoot is where fitness comes from, but it only happens if they give it the rest to do it. Without this, they run into overtraining and injuries. So the edge elite sports teams are mostly focused on is more about outplanning teams as opposed to outbuying them.
It goes back to this idea of optimization. It's like you don't have to be perfect, you just have to be pretty good most of the time.
In fact, some of the stuff people chase doesn't just waste time and money, it works against the very thing that matters the most. Take ice baths, done regularly, right after lifting. It can blunt the muscle you're training for. Soreness and inflammation aren't always damage you should try to erase, but in a congested run of fixtures, when feeling fresh tomorrow,
it can blunt the muscle? What the freak is that? What does that mean?
Beats building muscle. The ice bath can be a useful tool, so it's more about the careful, long-term planning. So the opposite of what I used to do, where I just focused on the latest methods. Elite athletes do strange stuff too.
There was something that I read about, you take off your shoes and socks and you crawl.
But the weird stuff sits on top of the fundamentals. It never replaces them. The crawl works because the periodization, the deloads and the planning are already handled. And I'll
supplements for
be honest, when
gotta have your foundation.
I was trying to recover optimally, it took the fun out of running for me. I was running alone instead of on the track with others, just so I could stick to my plan. And I wasn't even getting faster. We want to ensure the training we do is hard and productive, so it's important you can stick to it long term. For me, I deload every 8 weeks or so, where I half my running and gym volume. Enjoyment, or at least not completely hating your plan, is a factor I wish I considered sooner. The more I tried to optimize, the less progress I was making. I was making the biggest mistake that separates how elite athletes recover to how some guy with a podcast might recover. Everything at the top of the pyramid, the boots, the chambers, the tracking, is trying to do one of three things: help you sleep better, eat better, and stress less.
What do you do for recovery?
We just go home, sleep good, eat clean, good food, just nothing special, honestly.
A true pro is going to really be prioritizing sleep. They're devoting more hours of the day, not just to training, but to sort of relaxing afterwards and resting.
But nobody can sell you an early night. So we end up believing a sensory deprivation tank beats sleep, green powders beat vegetables, that spending more money is better.
I've heard this crazy notion about how much money I spend on my body per year, and I kind of just chuckle. That is a number that I will not disclose, but more importantly, I think it's just the time.
And then there's a factor which nobody budgets for.
Facts, look goat. On me, bruh.
Stress. Your body doesn't file work stress and training stress separately. It's one account. A researcher had people ride to exhaustion twice. Once rested, once after 90 minutes of demanding mental work. Mentally fatigued, they quit about 15% sooner. Now this was 16 people, and later reviews found the effect smaller. But heart rate, oxygen, and lactate were basically the same. Whatever stopped them never showed up on a tracker. When I was a teenager, I'd do a paper round at the crack of dawn, sleeping less just so I could afford supplements. Probably the stupidest recovery strategy possible. Yeah. But a lot of us do an adult version of the same thing. We sacrifice the boring thing that works to afford the exciting thing which promises to replace it.
And so while the other guy's off trying to get the latest supplements or the next expensive massage tool, you can just be kicking back, taking a nap, relaxing, reducing your stress, doing the things that we know work. You don't have to always be working harder to achieve that recovery. And in fact, that extra work to achieve recovery is actually counterproductive. I would say the vast majority of products that are marketed.
Yeah, man. Fella like Shad, I don't use supplements. I don't really think. I don't dislike supplements. I just, I'm not really doing any or have any at the moment. Okay, I'm not against supplements, but I feel like a lot of people try to use supplements to pick up slack somewhere that they're lacking in, when they could just do a little something here and there, and you probably won't need the supplement. Definitely supplements are supposed to pick up slack in some places, but they're not supposed to replace certain things. You feel me? It's like taking vitamin D supplements when you can just go outside in the sun.
To athletes for recovery are just things to make them feel like they're doing something while they're waiting for their body to recover naturally.
So recovery becomes one more thing to do, which ironically is just more stress.
Actually, the most powerful measure of recovery is actually mood.
Not a readiness score, not heart rate, mood. The exact thing which all of this optimizes.
Is you feeling good? You ain't feeling good, you're not gonna perform good. Facts.
Was making worse for me. The best use of your money isn't a new toy. It's whatever buys you more of the boring three: sleep, food, and a calmer head.
It's also good for the mind, I think.
So for the last few weeks, I focused more on the enjoyment and being more stress-free. And I let my runs go by feel, not just what my watch was saying. Maybe it was a taper, but despite spending less time trying to do recovery, I beat my old PR by about 4 minutes, and my cortisol is no longer elevated. This could be random fluctuation, but I think it comes down to sticking to a good training plan, having a good diet, but more importantly, just doing things in a more stress-free way. A sauna's cool, but I'd rather just sleep for 20 minutes more. It all comes down to keeping your priorities in order. Now, with so many internet doctors online selling you gadgets and biohacks, I want to leave you with a different doctor, Dr. Seuss. In Season 1, Episode 6, the Cat in the Hat promises Dad Tidbiddle a machine that will make life easier and breezier. But to get it to work, the father has to keep buying these new attachments. The hum leaper, the dong dinger, the plong. As Tidbiddle becomes increasingly obsessed, fanning about with the device and all of its attachments, he neglects his job, health, and family.
Dad didn't even hear us.
All he sees is that machine.
The machine was supposed to give him his life back, but it became it instead. And on that note, I should probably go see my family or something.
And man, facts, nigga. Look, bro, you rest your mind and you rest your body. You gonna feel good, bro. You gonna have a premium recovery, bro. Facts. But that's the end of this here video, bro. Let me know what y'all think in the comments, bro. Hope y'all enjoyed it. I'm gonna catch y'all on the next one. Peace out. Yee.